Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something deeply real. Waking up in the morning without a job, without a plan, and without a clue what God is doing with your life. You roll over, feel the weight in your chest, and stare at the ceiling wondering if you're falling behind while the rest of the world moves forward. Maybe yesterday you got a rejection email. Maybe it's been months of silence. Maybe you're afraid to check your inbox. Maybe your heart is tired of pretending that everything's fine. This isn't just a career issue, this is spiritual. You're not just asking for money, you're asking for direction, identity, belonging. You're wondering if God has forgotten you, or worse, if He's punishing you. So before we begin, take a second to like and subscribe, but only if something inside you wants more of God. Comment where you're from and how long it's been since your last real prayer. Ready? Breathe deep. Clear the noise. Christ is near. Let's begin. You woke up this morning not just jobless, but restless. Because the deeper ache is not about the job. It's the fear that your life is drifting, meaningless, that time is being wasted, that others are doing better. But listen, before the world assigned you a position, God assigned you a purpose. And that purpose does not expire with unemployment. Here's the truth. You were made for eternity, not for titles, not for paychecks. You were created to live in communion with God and glorify Him with your life. This job search is not a detour. It's a divine classroom. He is stripping away everything false so you finally know who you are when nothing is left but Him. When did you last pray? Not with desperation, but with surrender. Not begging for outcomes, but asking for the presence of God in the middle of the unknown. Right now, He's inviting you back. This silence, this pause, it is not punishment. It is invitation. Not everyone hears that, but you do. You are being called deeper, into faith that is not based on outcomes, into peace that doesn't depend on email replies, into identity that is untouchable by job offers or denials. This morning, kneel. Just that. No words, no expectations. Kneel. And in that silence, listen. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are not invisible. Christ is right here. He has not left your side. So, will you stay in bed and let the fear rule your morning again? Or will you rise like someone who believes God is already working behind the scenes? You may be jobless today, but you are not lifeless, and you are not hopeless, and most of all, you are not alone.
You are not a failure. Hear that clearly. Say it out loud. You are not a failure. The enemy wants you to confuse your current circumstance with your identity. But your soul was never meant to be labeled by success or shame. You were not made for applause. You were made for God. And He does not measure you by achievements. He measures by love. The emails that didn't come, the calls that stopped, the interviews that ended in silence, they do not define you. Heaven is not keeping a LinkedIn profile of your worth. And God is not standing back disappointed that you haven't figured it out yet. You were never meant to carry that lie. You were never meant to walk through life believing that unless you produce something, you are nothing. Here's the unshakable truth. Christ didn't die for the qualified. He died for the broken, the exhausted, the ones who wake up with nothing but an empty heart and the hope that God still sees. You are not disqualified. You are exactly where grace finds you. Not after you get the job, not after you prove yourself. Right here, in your bathrobe, with your coffee going cold, grace is here. So, what if you stopped seeing this season as a punishment and instead saw it as purification? What if God is removing the things that made you forget Him? What if this time isn't a setback, but a setup for your soul? When was the last time you sat in front of a crucifix and said, Lord, remind me who I am? Not what I do, not what I've lost, just who I am in you. You are beloved. You are chosen. You are held. Whether you feel it or not, that is truth. And truth is not swayed by emotion. Truth stands eternal. This morning, don't scroll first. Don't compare. Don't drown in everyone else's highlight reels. Instead, pick up a piece of paper. Write down one thing you know God has done in your life before. Remember His faithfulness. Even if it was years ago, that same God is still with you. He has not changed. Let go of the bitterness. Let go of the blame. Your soul is not stuck. It's being softened. You are not being overlooked. You are being formed. And the Father is not ashamed of you. So don't be ashamed of yourself. Will you keep letting the world name you by your unemployment? Or will you finally believe what God has named you from the start? This isn't failure. This is formation. Stand up, shoulders back. You are not done.
The battle is real, and it's not just about money. It's about trust, about the war between what you feel and what you believe. You know the promises. You've heard them 1,000 times. God will provide. He has a plan. But when the rent is due, when your hands are idle, when you refresh your inbox again and again, it doesn't feel like trust. It feels like drowning slowly while everyone else breathes. Let's not sugarcoat this. Trust is hard. It is not passive. It is not comfortable. Trust is war against fear, against lies, against every whispered voice that says, "You're forgotten." But here's the truth. You are not forgotten. You are not falling through the cracks. You are being held even when it doesn't feel like it. You were made to walk by faith, not by sight. That's not poetry. That's survival. That's how saints are made. Not in comfort, but in surrender. Not in applause, but in darkness, when no one sees but God. And that's where you are now. Not lost, not stuck, just hidden. And God does His best work in hidden places. When was the last time you fought for trust? Not felt it, but fought for it. When was the last time you spoke back to your doubt like it was an enemy, not a friend? You don't have to pretend everything's okay, but you also don't have to bow down to despair. This is where you choose what kind of person you want to be. Will you become bitter or brave? Will you curse God or cling to Him? You can't do both, so choose. This morning, choose again. Pick up your Bible, not to read quickly, but to listen slowly. Open to the Psalms. Read until your breath slows. Read until something stirs. Read until you remember who your God is. He is not far. He is not silent. He is not indifferent. He is near to the brokenhearted, and that includes you. Do not let your feelings become your theology. Just because you feel abandoned does not mean you are. God is not a man that He should lie. If He said He will provide, He will. If He said He loves you, He does. And if He said this season has a purpose, then it does. Trust isn't a mood, it's a choice. 1,000 times a day if needed. So choose again. Choose now. Choose to lift your eyes, even with tear-blurred vision. Choose to believe that God is still writing your story, even when the page is blank. Let the enemy hear this from you today. I don't see the way, but I know the way. Say it out loud and believe it, because He is with you, even here, especially here.
God's timing is never late. You might feel like you're running out of time, your savings, your confidence, your strength, but heaven isn't anxious. God is not pacing. He is not trying to catch up. He is not reacting to your situation. He is leading it, carefully, perfectly, eternally. This is not a detour. This is a divine appointment. But can you trust the clock in His hand more than the pressure in your chest? Can you trust that the delay is not denial? That what feels like a closed door may actually be divine protection? Here's the truth. Delay reveals your foundation. It exposes what you really believe. Anyone can trust when the path is clear, when the offers are flowing.
But you, right now, have been invited into a rarer kind of faith. Not the faith of abundance, but the faith of hunger, the faith of silence, the faith that waits. God is not just preparing the job for you, He is preparing you for the job. You don't see it now, but He is removing pride, building perseverance, teaching you to pray from the gut, not the script. What you call delay, He calls transformation. When was the last time you let the waiting do its work? Not rush it, not numb it, but let it shape you, let it slow you, let it strip away the parts of you that depended too much on title and paycheck and productivity. This morning, fast, not just from food, but from noise, from control, from the need to know. Spend 1 hour today without searching, without fixing. Just be, just listen, just exist with God, not as a job seeker, but as a child. You don't know what's next, but you know the one who does. And His hands do not slip. His calendar does not fail. Your next step is not behind schedule. It is perfectly timed in the choreography of grace. Let the fear go. Let the clock go. Let the expectations melt. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are being taught to breathe heaven's pace. You are being trained in trust, in patience, in holiness. So will you keep looking at the clock like it's your enemy? Or will you lift your eyes and say, even now, I will trust you? Do not rush the process. Do not despise the silence. God is in it. His voice is still. His hand is sure. His timing is love. And love is never late. Provision comes through surrender, not striving, not endless applications, not panicked networking. God may use those means, yes, but the breakthrough always flows through the heart that has yielded, the heart that says, even if nothing changes today, I am still yours. You've been taught to hustle, to grind, to push harder, but heaven doesn't operate on hustle. It moves by grace, and grace begins where striving ends. God will not compete with your anxiety for control. He waits, patiently, until you finally release the grip. Here's the unshakable truth. God provides for those who trust Him, not just with words, but with everything. Your plans, your fears, your outcomes, your timeline. He cannot pour into hands that are clenched. When did you last lay down your agenda and ask, Lord, what do you want to do with my life? Not what pays best, not what makes sense, what glorifies you. This isn't just about work. It's about who's steering the ship. Right now, God is whispering to your soul, let me lead. He doesn't need your resume. He needs your yes. He doesn't need your perfection. He needs your surrender. This moment isn't about the door that hasn't opened. It's about the heart that hasn't let go. This morning, go to a quiet place, somewhere small, kneel, open your hands physically, and say, Jesus, I surrender. Not once, again, again. Let your body say what your soul forgets. I'm not in control. And that's okay. God sees what you cannot. He knows which jobs would drain you, which roles would crush you, which doors would destroy your intimacy with Him. So He shuts them. Not because He's cruel, because He's Father. He is not being silent. He is being protective. And when your heart finally yields, fully, not just in words, something shifts. Not always on the outside, but deep within. A new stillness, a new clarity, a holy detachment from the desperation, a peace that says, even if nothing comes today, I am loved, I am held, I am found. Will you keep gripping your plans like they're your only hope? Or will you finally place them on the altar and trust the God who holds galaxies in His hands? The world will say you're wasting time, but heaven sees something different. Heaven sees obedience, surrender, faith. And faith always bears fruit. Maybe not today, maybe not the way you expect, but in God's way, in God's time, with God's strength. So let go. Just let go. Not because you're giving up, but because you're giving it to Him. And that changes everything.
Not out of arrogance, out of trust, out of sonship, out of the quiet confidence that your Father is good and that He delights in providing for His children. This is not about pretending, it's about proclaiming. You don't have to wait until the breakthrough to believe it's coming. The unshakable truth, your voice moves heaven, even when you feel weak, even when you don't know what to say. When your lips whisper faith into the dark, the angels move, the Spirit groans, the Father hears. Prayer is not a last resort, it is the first weapon, and too often it's the last thing we reach for. So, when was the last time you prayed like you believed it mattered? Like your words weren't echoing off the ceiling, but slicing through spiritual resistance? Like God was on the edge of His throne, listening? This isn't about manipulating God, it's about aligning with Him. When you pray, you are not begging a reluctant God, you are partnering with a loving Father. You are speaking life into the space where fear once reigned. You are breaking strongholds of despair with declarations of trust. This morning, take 5 minutes and pray as if the offer is already printed. Speak it out, not just "help me," but "thank you, Lord, that you are opening the right door in your time." Speak it like it's coming, because if God is faithful, and He is, then the provision is already on its way. Don't let your prayers stay small. Ask big, ask bold. Not because you deserve it, but because He is generous. Not because you earned it, but because you're His. You are not an orphan. Stop praying like one. You are a son, a daughter. You belong. And when your Father sees you trust Him, even in the waiting, something shifts in the heavens. So, will you keep praying timidly, like maybe God forgot you? Or will you rise this morning and speak to Him like He's already at work? Because He is, behind the scenes, inside your heart, moving people, redirecting paths, closing wrong doors, preparing the right ones. You can't see it yet, but that's okay. Pray anyway. Praise anyway. Speak His name into your empty spaces. Let your voice declare what your eyes can't yet see. That is faith. That is prayer. That is power. And it's yours today. Work is holy, not just hired. The world wants you to believe that your dignity depends on your income, that unless someone is paying you, you're not contributing, that unless you're grinding, you're wasting your life. But heaven sees differently. Heaven sees work as sacred, whether paid or unpaid, whether seen or unseen. You were created to co-labor with God, not just at an office, but in every breath, every moment, every act of love. The job is not the calling. The calling is deeper. The calling is to glorify God in all things, to bring light into dark places, to bless, to build, to reflect Christ. The unshakable truth is this: your worth does not fluctuate with your paychecks. You are not less valuable now. You are not less holy now. You are still in mission, still in purpose, still under the eye of God. So, what work are you doing right now? Not the kind that pays, the kind that matters, the kind that shapes your heart. Are you serving someone in your home? Are you praying more deeply? Are you offering your silence, your waiting, your suffering as a quiet sacrifice? When did you last ask, "Lord, how can I serve you today, right here, in this in-between?" This morning, do one act of holy work. Wash the dishes as worship. Send a note of encouragement. Volunteer somewhere small. Offer your time not because it's filling your wallet, but because it's forming your soul. You are not idle. You are being formed, and that formation is holy. Every moment of unseen obedience is eternal. Every step of quiet surrender builds something heaven will reveal one day. Don't despise this season. Don't call it a waste.
You are not just unemployed. You are available. And God can do more with a willing heart than with any job title. So will you sit in self-pity, waiting to matter again? Or will you rise with dignity, knowing that your hands still carry kingdom power? The world sees gaps in your resume, but God sees sacred ground. This is where saints are made. This is where humility grows. This is where false identities die and real mission begins. You are working for more than a paycheck. You are working for glory, and that glory cannot be taken from you.
So, when did you last ask, Lord, what in me still needs to die before you raise something new? That prayer is not for the faint-hearted, but you're ready for it, because something in you knows that the real problem is not out there, it's in here, in the impatience, the self-reliance, the fear of stillness. You've built your worth on performance. Now God is offering you identity. This morning, write down what He's been showing you, the habits He's breaking, the pride He's softening, the tenderness He's cultivating. Don't just wait for the door to open, wait to be remade. You're not who you were. You're quieter now, hungrier, more dependent. That's not weakness, it's refinement. The fire doesn't destroy the gold, it reveals it. And when you're ready, truly ready, not just to be hired, but to be holy, not just to work, but to walk with Him, then the next step will come, and you'll be able to carry it. Will you settle for getting back to normal, or will you let God use this wilderness to make you new? Let the old patterns die. Let the old fears fall. You don't need a fresh opportunity more than you need a fresh heart. And God is faithful to finish what He started in you. So stay in the process. Stay soft. Stay open. You're not behind. You're being rebuilt from the inside out. And the world won't recognize the version of you that comes out of this, but heaven will. Walk in boldness today. Hope is not passive. It doesn't sit back waiting for miracles like a spectator. Hope stands. Hope moves. Hope knocks. Even when the door is locked, even when the light is dim, even when every sign says no. The unshakable truth is this: God calls you to courage, not comfort. The kingdom doesn't come to those who wait quietly in the corner. It comes to those who rise and take their place as children of light. Your job search is not a whisper, it's a battle cry. When was the last time you stepped out with confidence? Not because you had everything figured out, but because you trusted the one who does? Not because the path was clear, but because you believed the guide who never leaves your side? This morning, stand in front of the mirror. Look yourself in the eyes. Say, I am bold because God is with me. Say it again until fear shrinks and faith swells. Then step forward. Send the email. Make the call. Walk into the room. Boldness isn't reckless. It's obedience. It's faith in action. It's the refusal to let doubt define your steps, the refusal to settle for less than what God promised. You were not made to hide, not to shrink, not to wait silently for life to happen. You were made to be a light, to illuminate dark places, to bring hope where there is despair, to be a witness of God's faithfulness. Will you stay silent and small? Or will you rise today as a warrior of faith, knocking on every door God places before you? Will you move with the assurance that the same Spirit who raised Christ from the dead is alive in you? This is your moment. This is your stand. Not because you are perfect, but because God's power is perfected in your weakness. So walk boldly, speak confidently, hope fiercely, because God's promise will not fail. He is working for you, with you, through you. Your next opportunity is not a coincidence. It's a call, and boldness answers that call. You are sent to be light. Even in joblessness, even in waiting, even in uncertainty, you carry a mission that goes beyond a paycheck.
God has placed you on this path not just to find a job, but to reflect His glory. You are called to shine in the darkness, to be hope to the hopeless, and to show mercy where despair lives. The unshakable truth is this: you are not without purpose. Your unemployment does not mean you are useless. It means you are being prepared to carry a greater light. You are a beacon for others who feel lost, for souls who are searching, for hearts that need to be reminded that God is near. When was the last time you saw your situation through God's eyes? Not as lack, but as opportunity. Not as failure, but as mission. Not as waiting, but as witnessing. This morning, take a moment to pray for someone else who is struggling. Pray for the person who feels invisible, forgotten, or hopeless. Your prayers are powerful. Your presence is powerful. Your story, even unfinished, is powerful. You are not just seeking a job. You are living a testimony. Every step you take, every moment you endure, every prayer you whisper builds a bridge for someone else to find Christ's light. You were never meant to walk this path alone. Will you accept your mission today? Will you let your light shine in the waiting rooms, in the job interviews, in the silence of rejection? Will you be the hand that lifts others as you wait for your own breakthrough? God's call is not always about comfort or ease. It's about courage and faithfulness. You were sent for this moment, for this mission. Your waiting is work. Your faith is power. Your hope is a weapon. So rise, shine, move forward with purpose, because your light is needed now more than ever. The world is watching. Heaven is rejoicing. You are not alone anymore. The world needs you, but only after you've been with Him. Your time in waiting is not wasted. It is your preparation. God's faithfulness has carried you through every doubt, every fear, every tear. Now He invites you to step forward, renewed, ready, and radiant. Remember, you are not defined by your job or your status. You are defined by the love of the Father who formed you in His image. That love never fails. It never abandons. It never fades. Hold fast to that truth. Now go, and do not come back to the old life of fear, of scarcity, of loneliness. You are called to something greater, a life filled with grace, purpose, and hope. You are not alone anymore. Christ walks beside you, strengthens you, and leads you. When the world tries to convince you otherwise, remember who you belong to. You belong to the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the eternal light. So rise in peace, walk in boldness, live in joy. Your story is just beginning, and God's hand is upon it. God bless you.